No, this is totally going on YouTube. One, two, three, four, five.
Yeah. Back up.
You can just put your mask on.
Hello, and welcome back to Legal Dissent, where we evaluate your constitutional rights before they're taken away. Today, we are evaluating a video posted by a YouTube account with the name Rebecca Byrnes, as she is filming an individual named Jeffrey who was stopped just yesterday by police in Watertown, Massachusetts. We're assuming this is the location based off of information we have gleaned from the original video. As always, the links to the original channel, video, case law, statutes, and the contact information of the law enforcement agency involved are located in the description below. We do apologize for the quality and shakiness of the video. I feel like we're watching the Blair Witch Project half the time, but this encounter highlights the importance of never talking to the police and serves as a sobering reminder to exercise your right to remain silent.
What did I do?
Yep, what did you do?
Jeffrey, what's your last name again, bud?
Can you just back away?
I'm not anywhere near you, honey.
Thank you.
Email? So, did I do something? If we got a report that you were stumbling all over the place. I didn't do anything.
I saw him 5 minutes ago. He wasn't stumbling.
Jeffrey, what's your last name?
Emmanuel. That's my
Emmanuel?
name.
Yep. So, did I do anything?
Watertown Control. Just keep your hands where I can see him, please.
Jeffrey,
Oh, please.
someone called. Someone said you were stumbling around the parking lot. They were worried that you were on alcohol or drugs or impaired.
Maybe you're off your medication. This is another popular one.
Were you drinking tonight, Jeffrey?
No.
You weren't? Okay. Any drugs?
No.
You can't get in trouble for saying that. We're just checking your
Nothing.
we're just checking your well-being.
Jeffrey's first mistake is that he voluntarily gave his name to the police. The police are allowed to respond to a call for public safety concerns. The police are allowed to approach individuals and ask them questions as part of a consensual conversation. The police are also allowed to lie to you. Jeffrey and you can absolutely get in trouble for answering these types of questions. And Officer Friendly is not asking these questions to check on your well-being, but to investigate if a crime is taking place in order to gain the probable cause he needs to put you in handcuffs and arrest you.
Someone called us, just so you understand why we're here, someone called us saying that you were acting a bit odd behind.
I didn't do nothing.
They were concerned about you.
I didn't do nothing.
Okay.
Probably because you're black. Can I help you?
Jeffrey, you want to take a PBT for us?
All right.
It's a portable breath test. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
You do. Okay. You want the back guy?
What?
Yeah,
Yeah,
PBT.
okay.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks for being compliant with us. We appreciate it.
The following information applies only to the state of Massachusetts and should not be assumed that it applies to your individual state without verification from an attorney. In the state of Massachusetts, in my opinion, you should never voluntarily take a preliminary breath test or consent to any type of evidence gathering unless you are driving. Massachusetts, like most states, have implemented an implied consent law that requires drivers to give implied consent to a certified chemical breath test in order to legally drive. We must make a couple of distinctions here before we dive deeper into this. First, Jeffrey is not driving. Therefore, the implied consent law does not apply to him. Second, there is a huge difference between the chemical breath test mandated by the implied consent statute and the preliminary breath test that is offered by this officer to Jeffrey. A PBT only tests to determine if the presence of alcohol is within the breath of the recipient or not. It is not admissible in court as evidence, is not seen by experts as significantly reliable, and does not accurately evaluate what the blood alcohol content is of the recipient. This is why it is not admissible in court. A PBT's only use is to grant the officer probable cause, in combination with other field sobriety tests, that an individual was consuming alcohol recently and is showing signs of being intoxicated. This gives the officer the evidence needed to have probable cause to arrest that individual for driving under the influence or for public intoxication. However, in Massachusetts, there is no law criminalizing public intoxication. Being drunk, even excessively so, is not illegal in the state. But the police are allowed to take someone who is intoxicated into protective custody to ensure their well-being. All of this to say, do not ever give information to the police unless you're absolutely required to. In this specific case, Jeffrey should not have told him his name and should most definitely not be complying by submitting to a preliminary breath test.
You don't have to
Can
take a
you not
test.
stand right behind me, please?
Sure.
That's nice. Can you just come over here?
Yep.
Still get a view and you're not right next to us.
Yep. No problem. She came after.
Where are you coming from?
Yeah, in Watertown.
In Watertown?
I believe that's the cop that likes to twist people's hands.
What's your date of birth, buddy?
Is that 31 Clarendon?
Go with me.
Did you live at 31 Clarendon? Did you live on Clarendon Street?
Oh no. That's not my address.
Do you have any ID on you, Joe?
Oh, no, right now.
You don't have it? What's your date of birth?
My date of birth is
No, what's your birthday? Your birthday. I know, I'm asking you what your birthday is.
Jeffrey is Haitian. English is not his first language.
You can tell that the officers are having a hard time communicating with Jeffrey, and at a first glance, one might assume that it's because he's intoxicated. However, the videographer informs us, and the police at this point, that Jeffrey is Haitian, and English is not his first language. French is the official language of Haiti. This language barrier, which is only intensified by the high-stress situation of being surrounded by police officers late at night with bright lights shining in your eyes, could easily explain the communication issues and the alleged slurred speech that you know will be coming later in the video by the police.
22 years old? Okay. All right, listen to this officer right here.
Alright, Jeffrey, you ever taken one of these before? Pretty sure I can just give you the
In my way.
Why are you taking it? You agreed to take it. Do you know what it is? Why are you taking that? Look, just based on your slurred speech and you wobbling around, and the report we got that you were drinking alcohol in the parking lot, or acting drunk in the parking lot, you agreed to take this. So, do you want to take it?
Don't take it.
So
Don't
we can
take
let
it.
you go. If you're not intoxicated, we can let you go.
Hang on one second.
Can you stand on the sidewalk right there, please? Keep creeping up on us. It doesn't make us feel
Oh, give me a break. Yeah, because I'm such a threat. You ought to know. You're the tough guy, not me.
You gotta blow longer, like you're blowing up a balloon.
You gotta beat up on girls.
So, Jeffrey, when was the last time you had something to drink?
I didn't.
You didn't drink at all? Okay.
If you look at her, you'll see.
If you drank within 10 minutes or 20 minutes, come on.
We're not asking you to do that.
Let's just do the PBT. All right. Try it again. Deep breath in and out.
I'm gonna use the tree sub.
No, that's not a choice.
Why don't they just try to take
Have I taught you nothing?
a deep breath in, and then breath out. You already agreed to take the PBT.
The police are continuing to convince Jeffrey to take the PBT by reminding him that he already agreed to take it. However, consent can be revoked just as easily as it is given away. Jeffrey is under no legal obligation to submit to the PBT, and he has definitely not entered into a binding legal contract to take it. The officer is simply trying to bully him into taking it by using this tact. They eventually get him to take the PBT, but it ultimately does not matter if he had taken it or not, because all they needed was his name.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. Back up.
Alright? Sort it out at the station, okay, bud?
You can just put your mask on.
Take this off, bud, okay? Take this off, and put the cuffs on.
Jeffrey allegedly had 2 outstanding warrants for his arrest. In the state of Massachusetts, you are not required to give your ID unless you have been legally detained by an officer who has a reasonable, articulable suspicion of a crime. There was no crime here. Jeffrey was not being disorderly. He was not violating any laws that we're aware of, and the police had no reason to believe that he could not safely make it home. Please remember that if you are stopped by the police, you do not win brownie points by ignoring your rights, and the only thing you'll be earning is a ride downtown in the back of a squad car. What do you all think? Have you been stopped by the police in a similar situation? Do you have videos you'd like us to evaluate? If so, leave them in the comments below, and we'll see you next time right here on Legal Dissent.